meetup, Jerusalem Day meetup, and actually it's more than Jerusalem Day because Yerushalayim al Rosh Simchatenu always. So today and tonight we are going to talk in the next hour about Jerusalem from personal perspective, from professional perspective, and to give you the opportunity to learn more about Jerusalem for different sides. So it will help you to bring the message and the beauty and the spirit of Jerusalem to your student, to your class, formal education, informal education, and all over. And we have a lot of opportunities with tools. So tonight with us, Ammunition Hill and Alon Wald. Tonight with us, Olam Shalem, Adi and Merav. And tonight with us, Daniel and our amazing colleagues to help you to learn more about Jerusalem. When I talk about Jerusalem, I remember always Katya Milidovska, the famous author that wrote about Jerusalem. I am in the middle of Jerusalem and miss to Jerusalem. אני באמצע ירושלים ומתגעגעת לירושלים. So all of us, wherever we are now, and few of us are very lucky that they are now in Jerusalem, but I just returned from Israel and from Jerusalem, and I miss Jerusalem. So it's a great opportunity for us to speak and to learn and to see and to watch and to sing and more surprise that we have for you. So let me take the opportunity to ask Daniel to introduce our guest speaker for tonight, Alon Wald from Ammunition Hill, Givat HaTachmoshet. Daniel, please.
It is definitely a very big honor to be able to introduce Alon. Alon Wald is the head of operations at Ammunition Hill National Heritage Center. He is the son of Captain Rami Wald Zichrono Livracha, who fought in the 55th Paratroopers Brigade in Jerusalem during the Six-Day War and was killed in action while leading the paratroopers into Ammunition Hill. Alon served his country as an officer in several elite IDF units and the Israeli Secret Service, and oversaw security operations in Israeli embassies and aviation services around the world. He is now married to Iris and has 3 amazing daughters. Representing the second generation, the torchbearers, Alon dedicates his life to keeping the legacy of the liberators of Jerusalem, and among them the memory of his father, alive. For the last 10 years, Alon has been involved on a daily basis in the ongoing operations of Ammunition Hill. It's now my distinct honor to turn it over to Alon.
Okay, you ready for some Israeli accent now? Shalom lekulam. Hi everybody from the dead of night in Israel, but I'm doing my best to be as useful as possible for you guys, because you are indeed trying to bond and educate your youngsters with the whole story that I stand for on a daily basis. Indeed, from the start of Yom HaShoah to Yom HaZikaron to Yom HaAtzmaut until Yom Yerushalayim, we are very busy. Last year, nothing happened here because of the COVID-19. But this year we have leaped within 2 or 3 weeks from 0 to 100 p.m. It's unbelievable. Things are getting to normality now. But until you guys will be able to come over to Israel, Zoom is the only option for us to convey the message. Hopefully within 2 or 3, 4 months I will be able to come over and to speak again directly to your high school kids, to your communities. But until then, I will try to as I said, be as useful as possible and give you some details. And as we understood about 13 years ago, the best way to tell the story is through the most intimate stories of human beings. Until 13 years ago, the story of the liberators of Jerusalem was referred to like talking about idols, like gods upon earth. And I will tell you later on that all my life I tried to understand who they were, who was my father. And while understanding that 99% of their life, these guys were lovers, not fighters, were human beings, were family members and civilians. And the way I tried to unveil my father's story is the way you should unveil the whole story of the liberations of Jerusalem, because any war, any ordeal, any any big story, epic story is being held, is being conducted by human beings. So at the beginning of the story, I'll give you an option to see what we created with the JNF a year ago to try to mediate the story. It's a 10 minutes in my English, showing you Ammunition Hill, and afterwards I will reach the resolution of me as a young kid, as a young boy, as a soldier, as a father, as a commanding officer myself, trying all my life to understand what we are talking about, what do we stand for. So with your permission, I will upload and share the clip. Just a minute, I want to make sure that everything has been to share. Yes. Okay.
Hello to everybody. My name is Alon Wald. I'm speaking to you from the top of Ammunition Hill that lies 1,000 meters from the old city of Jerusalem to the north in Jerusalem in Israel. Thanks to the Corona ordeal, this is the best way I can bring Jerusalem to your best understanding, to your hearts, to make a bond, to make a link, to make you understand what happened in Jerusalem about 53 years ago. We are going to celebrate the reunification of Jerusalem in a very peculiar, weird, different way this year because of the Corona. And we'll try to do it thanks to the Zoom and the internet in the most vivid and interesting way. Ammunition Hill. It commemorates one of the toughest, most difficult battles the paratroopers of the IDF ever conducted the past 72 years of our existence. And you need to understand that the story I'm going to reveal to you, that will start with a broader perspective and it will result eventually at the story of my family, of my own dear father who fell here 53 years ago, is really a very, very interesting story. And today, I'm not going to talk to you about sacrifice and about death and about the battlefield whereabout of Ammunition Hill. I'm going to talk to you about values, about the widest common denominator that we share from the both sides of the globe. 53 years ago, something happened, a 6-day war. It is a very famous war and we keep on talking about it. You need to understand that we are talking about something that not even one nation in the modern era could achieve. Within 6 days, Israel nation collided against 4 Arab armies and against all odds came out victorious. In this hill, the paratroopers made the pivotal battle that led the entire nation to reunite with the Holy Mountain, with the Western Wall, with the Jewish quarters. And I'm going to share some of the stories with you. When you come to Israel, you can see the IDF soldiers all over the streets of Israel wearing uniforms. They are indeed one of the best armies in the world, but they are not enough to collide against 4 Arab armies. Whenever a full-scale war falls on our heads, we need to summon the reservists. 80% of the fighting units are the reservists. Who are they? Carpenters, grocery shop owners, lecturers, fresh grooms, rabbis, students who have to make time and again when the army needs them, when the nation needs them, this shifting their mind, when this knock on the door is coming, we need you for the greater good, these guys have to go and leave their families, their careers, their wives, their newborn sons. One of them was my father, Captain Rami Wald, the late Captain Rami Wald. He was a carpenter, he was 32 years old. And I'm going to talk to you today about a lifetime of me trying to understand the minute my father had to leave me. I asked myself, where did he bring all these values? Camaraderie, commitment to a mission, loyalty, creativity, brotherhood. Does it come with the ranks? Does it come with the uniforms? Until today, we have here 300 meters of trenches and 40 bunkers, well preserved, intact, exactly as they were 53 years ago, when 120 paratroopers stormed to this hill against 120 Jordanian soldiers from the elite commander units of King Hussein. Israel nation was now facing 3 fronts: Golan Heights against the Syrians, Sinai Peninsula against the Egyptians, and the long border against the Jordanians, when the peak of the efforts was Jerusalem. The paratroopers had no intelligence. no maps. They did not know that the people that are waiting for them are that experienced. They knew these trenches like the palm of their hands. Nevertheless, 4.5 hours, 5th of June 1967, they came out victorious against all odds. You guys, this is my childhood playground. I was running here in the trenches at the age of 5, 6, 7, 8 without understanding what does the notion of the words like war, Jerusalem, Zionism, death, the notion of the word father. I lost my own dear father over here. I did not know my father. I was 10 months when he had to leave me and my mother. Any war, any big war, any triumph eventually is being done, achieved by the person, by the human being. And I can tell you that the liberators of Jerusalem we are going to relate to today were not gods upon earth. They were afraid, they made mistakes, they implemented amazing values that we stand for today. The best way to commemorate their deeds is to talk about camaraderie and bravery and leadership of human beings, not of soldiers, because we are a Jewish nation. We worship life and peace and not death and sacrifice. And this is the way we mediate the story today here. I can tell you for hours, each meter, who jumped on the hand grenade, who lost his life and how. It is important, but for this conversation, before the liberation of Jerusalem that we are going to celebrate in a very short while, the importance is to understand the heart of our nation, and this is going to be my focus today. And now I'm going to try to connect the dots, and I'm going to do it through the underground layer of Ammunition Hill. Underneath the trenches and the bunkers, we have the underground bunker of the Jordanians. Now, thanks to the JNF efforts, we have a very, very beautiful, impressive, state-of-the-art modern museum that will help me to tell you the story in the most vivid and creative way. If you are interested, please follow me. Some people say this is the safest place in Jerusalem. We are isolated completely from what's happening outside. And it helps us to bring the visitors to the most intimate resolution to understand what happened in Jerusalem 53 years ago. We are using animations and movies and clips. We are using music. This is by no means replacing the option for you to come in the future to understand what we are doing here. But to make a long journey of 400 meters and 53 years short, we should focus today on one story that starts the museum and ends the museum. The friends of my father, his comrades in arms, 2.5 days after the war started, reached the Kotel, the Holy Mountain and the Jewish quarters. And one of the captains carried a flag in his rear pouch. The flag was given to him by a grandmother. She said to him, "If you will reach the Holy Mountain and the Kotel, please, this is the flag I preserved all these years for you. Please take it with you." We are now at the more or less at the end of the museum. It was a short version and nothing, as I told you, can replace of actual being here. But we started with the flag. 3 brigades collided against Jerusalem, a city and outskirts. And 2 days after my father was already killed, they reached the Kotel. And this soldier we met at the beginning took the pouch from his rear pouch, the flag, and along with 7 of his friends, created something we should relate to and never forget. They hanged the flag over the Kotel in a reunited Jerusalem. And when he heard that we are building this museum, he came to us and he told us, "This is the flag. This is the flag I preserved for so many years. This is the flag this old grandmother gave me when we started the war. It will be dead with me. Please, I'm 80 years old nowadays. Take the flag and put it in a safe position when people will be able to see the Israeli flag, the widest common denominator, symbol of our nation, is here with the handwriting of this guy, Yoram Zamush, who wrote with his own pen, 'We are the paratroopers. The liberators of Jerusalem are now hanging the flag of the Kotel.' This is history, and we carry on the journey. As you surely understand, Ammunition Hill is no longer only trenches and bunkers. It's not only a story of death and sacrifice and battlefield whereabout. It is something much wider. Here you can see one of the latest built memorial halls in Israel on the national level. This is once again the sum up for all the questions I, myself and my brothers and sisters forever, the orphans of Ammunition Hill and the Six-Day War, raised all our lives. Who were they? Who was my father as a human being? 3 years of gathering artifacts, memories, stories from the families themselves. What you see here are the choosing of the families. Here we relate to the way these guys lived and not to the way they died and fell. We wanted to know and to reveal from the families who were they, where did they come from, how did they live, and what is the full extent of their legacy.
Okay, so let me just see.
I highly recommend to put side by side the speaker and the presentation.
That's it. I'm trying to do it because I did not see anything. So how do I do the side by side?
Oh, it's for everyone, Alon. You can go ahead and everyone can put the
okay.
side by side speaker, okay? Not gallery, so it will help you to see Alon.
As long as you all can see and hear me, because I do not see you guys. Okay, so this is the best way to show you Ammunition Hill, and indeed, as I mentioned in the movie, this is my childhood playground. And running in these trenches is something you should relate to, and if you did not ask yourself, I will ask on your behalf, which kind of a mother brings her son to a place that was literally bleeding for the first 4 years after the war. It was a very tough battle. 36 guys died, including my father, including my father. More than 100 was severely wounded. And this is not Spartan nation. This is a peace-loving nation. This is Israel. What was I doing there in this place? The fact that I was brought there is because the paratroopers actually never left Ammunition Hill. And from whenever I remember myself, I try to understand my father. I try to understand what is the reservist story. You know that every time that Israel had to collide against so many Arab armies, any full-scale war, the majority of the fighting units, 80%, are indeed the reservists. And like my father, he was a carpenter. He was 32 years old, civilian, the love of the life of my mother and a proud father to a newborn son. And I try to understand all my life the minute my father had to do this and shift from being a lover and a carpenter to a fighter. And I remember at the age of 6 and 7 and 8, I was angry with my father. When people told me that he was not a soldier, he had to volunteer. Didn't he love my mother? Didn't love me? I wanted to know what led them to leave their personal welfare for the greater good. Today I can tell you they could not do anything else. Now, this is my father. He was a civilian, but when his friends called him and he had to sniff my head for the last time to give me away to my grandfather, saying to him, "God, my son," and to leave me, you know, you're trying to understand it for a lifetime. What led these guys to be so useful, to sacrifice themselves for the greater good? They could not do anything else. And I came to a peace with my father today, knowing this. But as I told you, the story is most intimate, and I want to tell you the beginning of Ammunition Hill and the beginning of my life 54 years ago was something you need to understand. Israel, before the war started, felt like on the edge of annihilation. It was on the streets of Israel, people felt like the Arab armies are going to storm into Israel and finish whatever Hitler could not achieve, to demolish the Israeli entity, to throw us all to the sea. And Israel government decided they could not wait they are not going to wait for the Arab armies to come here and butcher us all. And with a very brilliant preemptive strike, they actually sent all the aviators of the IDF and they demolished all the airplanes of the Egyptian army on the ground. This was the start of the 6-day war. And within 6 days only, they did something remarkable. They tripled the size of Israel. They changed the Middle East the way we know it today. They returned to the Holy Mountain, to the Jewish quarters, to the Kotel, and tens of thousands of Jewish people were dancing, marveling the reunification of Jerusalem. My father was not there. My father was killed, along with 182 guys who fell liberating Jerusalem. And the story of the liberation of Jerusalem is a story of 3 brigades of reservists. All of them made this clique, left their newborn son, their careers, their families, their wives, and wait for the greater good. Try to understand the gap. 2 weeks of preparation to a war, feeling like on the edge of annihilation, 6-day wars, and an epic triumph. All over the world, Jewry people were marveling the reunification of Jerusalem. In front of the Kotel, tens of thousands of Jewish people were crying, praying, dancing, parading. Shofarot, rabbis, they were all there. In the middle, we're talking about 182 bereaved families in a state of shock. They lost their fathers, their uncles. They could not rejoice. They could not be happy. And the government and the Minister of Defense and the IDF could not deal with them now. They were all celebrating. The only guys who bothered to understand they cannot wait for the nation, they need to deal with their friends now, are the comrades in arms of my father. Almost 100 of the fallen soldiers were the paratroopers. And these guys knew each other. Some of them, the old guys, knew each other from the 48 Independence War, even from the Palmach, from the 56 campaign, from the kibbutzes, from the fields. The wives knew each other. The parents knew each other. And within 2.5 days of the campaign over Jerusalem, they lost 100 of their dear friends. They could not wait for the government. They had to deal with the families immediately. And you can see these guys today, you can see how they looked 53 years ago. They decided as a big family to meet day after the second parade in front of the Kotel. And they divided the bereaved families between themselves. And a day afterwards, there was a knock on the door of my mother and father apartment in Kfar Saba, the city of Kfar Saba. And 10 salt of the earth, amazing paratroopers, now civilians once again, stepped inside. Nobody sent them. They decided spontaneously they had to deal with the families immediately. And I was a 10-month baby. My mother was in a state of shock. She lost the love of her life 4 days ago. And they pointed at me and they said to her in so many words, maybe Alonchik, this is my nickname forever with them, lost a father. Here, 10 alternative fathers, uncles. He will never step alone anymore. Now this vow, this promise, resonated in dozens and dozens of other apartments all over Israel. They went to the kibbutzes, they went to the south, to Jerusalem, to Tel Aviv, to the north. They came to the bereaved families saying to them, you are not alone. Now what they did is something we mediate today at Ammunition Hill. It's something unbelievable to understand because they implemented the same values, the same core values that led them to be victorious against all odds at Ammunition Hill and all around, all the battles around Jerusalem. Camaraderie, bravery, commitment to a mission, loyalty to your nation and to your friends, leadership, all these amazing words do not belong only to wartime, do not belong only to the trenches of Ammunition Hill. They belong to human beings because when they decided to approach the bereaved families, they used the same values as civilians. And this lesson is something I carried all my life. And this is a very important lesson we share with kids. Because what we actually did, while understanding that 99% of the lives of these amazing idol figures, they were human beings, lovers, family members, civilians, we had to add this layer, important layer, to the story of the liberators of Jerusalem. And while bringing down my father and all the other heroes of Ammunition Hill from the level of gods upon earth to the level of a human being, then you can mediate a story, then you can inspire. And these guys until today keep on coming to Ammunition Hill, keep on being useful to us, volunteering at Ammunition Hill, telling the stories the way they think is the best way to share with youngsters. Sometimes we're calling them grandfathers telling the story. Sometimes they are warriors, liberators of Jerusalem, some of them playing guitars, accordions, It's unbelievable to meet them until today. And until today, they are being useful to our nation. Some of them became high-ranking officers, parliament members, but they never left us. They never forgot the promise they gave to our grandfathers and grandmothers and to our mothers. And I'm talking about the resolution of the elementary school, when I had no father to come and talk about his career every now and then, but I had 10 options. There was a joke in my class. How lucky you are. You have so many options, so many fathers. We have only one. What will you bring us next year? Each and every one of them became part of the puzzle I created without even knowing it all my life, trying to understand my late father, who left me such an amazing legacy. But I tried to know him through them, collecting their gestures and mimics and values and beliefs, trying to know my father through them. And I'm talking about the whole generations. They use them to understand who we are and what do we stand for. I'm talking about leading me at the bar mitzvah and to my wedding night. And I'm talking about the cemetery, the grave of my father. Each time, every year, they were there with us. I'm talking about going to the army. But when we talk about bravery, you need to understand Israel is such a small nation. We have another layer of bravery to share with the visitors and to share with the listeners at Ammunition Hill. And this is the bravery of our wives, of our mothers. This is my amazing mother. She just celebrated 80 years old. She's a proud grandmother. But I started the story when I was 10 months. Today I'm 54. My father summoned me and my friends and my brothers and sisters to become educators about 13 years ago. Another age is very important to share with you, the age of 17, when the army knocks on our doors. When I had to go to the army, the nation asked him, what do you want to do? Well, I wanted to be a paratrooper. I wanted to know my father through the red boots of the paratroopers. I wanted to sweat like him. It was my time. I had so many fathers who led me all my life. I wanted to be part of this legacy. But in Israel, such an amazing nation, if somebody dies from first relation, you're not allowed by law to go to a combat unit. You can do anything else in the army and you can be useful. It's okay. I never urge people to go to combat units at Ammunition Hill when I meet youngsters. Just do your share. It's okay. But I wanted, it was in my guts. I wanted all my fathers to be proud of me. And at the age of 17, I dragged my humble, dear, amazing mother to the story. She was behind the scenes all these years. We always talked about the bravery of the fighters. But at the age of 17, I understood that the only option for me to become a paratrooper is to approach her as my legal guardian and ask her, beg her, plead her, mommy, please, there's an option for you to sign a waiver to the nation stating, it's on me, take my son. In other words, I didn't say it like this. I said to my mother, mommy, please gamble your sanity and my life. And a mother that looks into her son's eyes in a situation like this, unbelievable, so tough, saying to him, okay, my son, if this is your destiny, if this is your will, I will allow it. She becomes this instant as brave as each and every one of the guys I can talk to you for hours about their bravery. But in order to understand who we are as a nation, what do we stand for, a mother that looks into her son's eyes in a situation like this, saying to him, I do not care, hate me all your life, do not speak to me ever again, you will be alive, I am not signing the waiver. She is as brave. As I told you in the beginning, this is not Spartan. We do not breed our kids to become martyrs. And we never judge a mother that said yes, we never judge a mother that said no, it's okay. Both options are okay. We need to hug these families. Luckily for me, my mother decided to do it, and for 5 years when I served the army, she could not sleep very well. But to understand that these values indeed do not belong only to the wartime, they belong to our families, they belong to our future generation. This resolution, this understanding at the age of 17 that became part of our telling the story is quite a valuable asset to understand that we are one people, one nation, along with you guys overseas. And reaching at Ammunition Hill, the widest common denominator of core values engages people from all over the world to become part of the story. Because when your kids will come over, when I will come over to the United States, I can look into their eyes and tell them, you can be brave tomorrow morning in your high school, elementary school, youth movement, working places. Do not wait for wartime. You are part of an amazing nation. You are a human being. You can implement each and every one of these core values whenever you are. Just believe in yourself. Now I will end my short version of the story while telling you that my mother, before signing this waiver, looked into my eyes saying to me, Alonchik, if this is what you want to do, I will sign the waiver. Just promise me not to be as stupid and as brave as your father. Try to understand what comes from the guts of a Yiddish mama in a situation like this. A prayer, a naive prayer, please take care of yourself. But the lesson I'm going to end with is that every nation's history has been carved by people who are working between stupidity and bravery. You read books, you know the United States legacy, Israel legacy. The lesson from me to you and through you to your students, you do not need to be on the edges to make a difference. Each and every time you are urged, challenged to do something, believe in yourself. Leave your comfort zone and you can make history. You do not need to be on the edges of stupidity and ultimate bravery to make this difference. And they believe us while we say so. This is part of the story. So thank you for listening to me. It's indeed a very short version of the story. But this is what we are and this is what we stand for. And indeed, nothing can replace you coming over to see what we do at Ammunition Hill. So take care of yourself and your safety and your health. COVID-19 will eventually be over. And you will carry only the memories of what you did the past 1 or 2 years. How did you react to this? So each and every one of you must have in their veins part of the Jewish resilience genes. Make use of it and inspire your kids. And לשנה הבאה בירושלים.
Wow, Alon, כל הכבוד. Amazing, amazing. Please stay with us to after the second part. We will open to Q&A, so we can give the opportunity for everyone to ask you any question. But I can tell you and everyone that this is not my first time. I don't know how many times I heard you, but every time is like the first time. It's very, very exciting, emotional, and very interesting to bring your message to the next generation. And our message for you, take this story, all the recording and the virtual tour, and actually everything is ready for you to use with your students, your kids, your class, your community, and take it to the next level. Thank you so much, Alon. And let me take the opportunity to jump to the next session to some practical tools. In 2-3 minutes, I would love to share with you the KKL website that you can find there a lot of materials about Jerusalem. Let me share my screen. Then we go over to Olam Shalem. So let me share my screen for a second. Do you see my screen about Jerusalem? Just give me a hint. Jerusalem Day, you see? Someone can.
Yeah, Zohar, we see.
Okay. So Jerusalem Day is a digital library, okay, that you can find a lot of materials that is ready for you to use. We will send to you after with the thank you letter, and then we download it to one link, one website you can find. And you can find by the title of if you're looking for kits, like posters or activities like ways to Jerusalem. So you need to click on it, and then you arrive and you can download all the program, English or in Hebrew, include all the guidelines where and how to make it happen. You have also a section for e-learning, okay? So don't forget to bigger it so you can find a lot of materials about the Six-Day War, and about Jerusalem, about the Air Force, about the liberation of the Western Wall, the famous three paratrooper that liberated the Western Wall, or Ammunition Hill. We just spoke about Ammunition Hill with Alon, and a lot of context more. Music, we have a lot of kind of music about Jerusalem, about the 6-Day War that you can find here, like the famous song about Ammunition Hill.
היה אז בוקר היום השני למלחמה בירושלים.
So everything is ready for you, and all the kind of the songs you can find here, e-learning, music, and of course, what else, like 6-Day War in at maps, and or from the Arab political 6-Day War cartoons. So to see the sides of the Arab countries around Israel, and the voices of Jerusalem, and more and more. And we have another website only about Jerusalem, but from different perspective, like things to do, general knowledge, historic sites, etc., etc. So you can find here a lot of materials. And again, the idea is to share with you what we have here. Thousands of different materials in video, in activities, and more. Now let's move to Olam Shalem. Olam Shalem is an amazing organization that focuses on Jerusalem materials and activities for formal education and informal education. And Mirav will showcase a lot of opportunities that we are working together as a partners, how you can bring Jerusalem in different ways to your classroom and make it so interesting and so emotional. So Mirav, take it from here, and the stage is yours, please.
Hi, my name is Mirav. I'm the content coordinator of Olam Shalem, which means that I'm usually used to being behind the scenes, so I'm a little nervous, but I'd like to show you just a few of the tools that we have. There are different ways to talk about Jerusalem. So, all right, so like Zohar said already, Olam Shalem is a nonprofit organization that was founded almost exactly 3 years ago. Our main goal is to create content about Jerusalem, things that could be relevant for the entire year, not only specifically around Jerusalem Day, but lessons that you can give, activities you can do that have to do with different aspects of Jerusalem from the point of view of Judaism, Zionism. We try to bring in a lot of exemplary characters who are from Jerusalem that students can learn from. So we have a few different tools. The first one I want to start with is our website. That's the main one we've been working on for a few years. I'll take you on kind of a tour through our website. So the main part, Adi will send you the links to all the different sites that I'm talking about in the chat. You can go in now, you can go in later. It will also be sent out with the thank you note that you get afterwards. But on the website, you can go straight away to the teacher section. Sorry, I'll try to speak louder. To the teacher section where you can find lots of different lessons for the school year. We divide it up by month. Every year, for every month of the year, we have different lessons that have to do either with the month, the holiday that month, if there's something special, then we have in our own subject. So just to give you an example, I chose one lesson. We won't really go through it, but just see what our website looks like. The lesson is called Return to the City. It's also very relevant for Yom Yerushalayim, for Yerushalayim Day, so you're very welcome to go into our website and look at the lesson and any other lessons you'd like to. So every lesson has a lot of thought behind it. We work with lots of different people before we actually publish the lessons. We have content writers, and then we have professionals who go over the lessons and make sure they're relevant and that the children will enjoy them. We work with lots of different graphic designers and translators. All of our lessons are translated to 4 different languages. So a lot of thought is put into these lessons. Most lessons have some type of movie that has to do with the lesson, along with lesson plan, supplementary materials, and knowledge expansion. And every lesson is created for different age groups. Every lesson for every age group is a little different. Please feel free to go in and explore the website and see what the differences are. You're welcome to make changes in the lessons that you give and change the levels of the lessons, the levels of your students, you know, better than you do. So just to give you a short tour of what these lessons look like. This is the lesson plan. It's a little plan. There's a lot of words. Isn't what it looks like on the side. I just tried to put in as much as I can. Every lesson has subject, objective, summary, the different parts. We try to give you as much as we can, as many instructions as we can. There's no expectation for you guys to come up with things on your own. We try to give you the lesson as a full unit so that it will be as easy for you to give these lessons. So this is
Merav, can you speak? Can you take the
the
microphone?
next thing is some the material. Each part has some type of material that you can print or show as a presentation. And also we try to put the lesson plan in Hebrew for every lesson. For those of you who also teach in Hebrew, a lot of our materials have English and Hebrew on them, so you can use them also for Hebrew lessons. This is the knowledge expansion area for every lesson. We can't put in everything that we want to. There's always so much to talk about. So at the end of every lesson, we also add just a few extra things that you can talk about during the lesson, after the lesson, send them to the students later. Just some things that you can add into the lesson if you want to. At the bottom of every lesson, there's something that looks like this, more lessons that could interest you that have to do with the subject of this specific lesson, things that have to do with the current month we're in. We really try to put Jerusalem the entire year to make it relevant in every way from all its different aspects, just to try to strengthen the connection between your students and Jerusalem. The next project that I'm going to talk about is something we've been working on with the JNS for over a year. We're very excited to launch it very soon. It's also a website. It was created to look more like a social media app. This website is a little different than ours because it's mostly aimed at informal education for youth groups between the activities are also less of a lesson, more of an activity that you could do in Eva or anything else that you guys are part of. But it's really meant to be passed on, delivered by a younger audience. The way it's built graphically and the activities themselves are meant for informal education. So as you can see, it's designed to look like some type of social media app. It's pretty much based on the same thing. There are activities. You can scroll through and try to show you a little bit of what this looks like. You can scroll down, see different activities that also have to do with the different months of the year. Everything revolves around Jerusalem. And things that we can learn from Jerusalem, from the history, from the people. So this is basically what the site looks like. As you can see on the top, there are 3 ways to find activities. There's just the home activities you can scroll through. There are sites, which looks like this. There's lots of different sites you can click on and find more information. Every site has to do some activity. There's a lot of hashtags, a lot of different things you could press on to get to different information. It's very accessible and it's open. The link, I hope that you can send it to me in the chat. Everything is already up on the internet, so also feel free to go in to use these activities, to send them on to counselors that you know or some community that you know. And if you ever have any questions, we're always here to answer them. The last place to find an activity is just to search. You can write in some word, find activities that are relevant. And that is it. And one more project that we have, it's new, we're working on it right now, especially for Yerushalayim, for Jerusalem Day. And here it's called Yerushalayim, which is a very nice name in English. We couldn't find something as nice. We called it Children's Tales of Jerusalem. What it is one activity, specifically for Jerusalem Day. It's kind of a tour through Jerusalem, and it's going to be this interactive wall of videos that we created. Each video is a child or two to tell us about sites that they like in Jerusalem. They walk us through it, they give us some history, they tell us what they like about it. And at the end, there's a game, there's some questions that the kids can answer. This activity was built to be given either online or upfront. Either way, it can be put up online or printed, and then you can use these little QRs to scan them, and that way you can see the video. And at the end, if you use it the way we designed and we wanted, it creates this beautiful interactive wall of Jerusalem, pictures of Jerusalem, and altogether you can kind of get the feeling of the city. This is what the game at the end of the quiz will look like. This is a little demo that we made. And these are all of the kids that participated in this project. Each one is a different video telling us about a different place. This is also kind of what we hope the end product will look like. So those are the 3 tools I have for you. In addition, we try to have teacher training meetings kind of like this thing at least once a month. Just today we had one in Spanish. On Sunday we're having one in Hebrew, a very special teacher training, especially for Jerusalem Day. So that's something that we'd be very happy for you guys to participate in if you'd like to. Hopefully we'll get all the information in the thank you letter that we'll get later. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Merav. Thank you so much. Olam Shalem, it's Olam Shalem. It's a huge opportunity for you to take to your classroom and to bring Jerusalem. So I want to share with you one of the kind of the materials that I just found to share with you. Is very, very short. And then let's move to your Q&A. One second, let me share with you. So I found Yonina. I don't know those of you who know Yonina and her husband, but let's listen to the mix of Jerusalem mashup.
Jerusalem, if I forget you, Jerusalem, if I forget you, ooh. forget you.
Then our hand forget what it's supposed to do.
Jerusalem, if I forget you.
Diana come down from its on
Jerusalem, if I forget you.
Then our hand forget what it's supposed to do.
לא
If I forget you.
אעלה,
Diana come down from
אם
its
לא
on.
אעלה את ירושלים, הראש שמחתי, על ראש שמחתי. הילו בה כל אוהבי הקולו, ועשו את ירושלים, הילו בה אורו של עולם. הנה אני בא, הנה אני בא,
ירושלים, חוזר
בא.
אליי, אל חומותיי. הנה אני בא, הנה אני בליבנו, בליבנו, שיר אחד קיים לך
ירושלים, בין ירדן לים. הנה אני בא.
So great. So now is the time to your Q&A or any mention that you want to say about Jerusalem, about the materials, to ask Alon, to speak with Merav. So now the stage is yours, please. Daniel, please help me to manage the Q&A.
It's a quiet bunch.
Who wants to be the first? By the way, you can take the opportunity to speak about everything that you saw, listen, or you want to take the opportunity to share with us. We try every time to give you the opportunity to listen to a story, to take the story forward, and also to share with you materials and opportunities that you can do, because we believe as a Keren Kayemet Israel and Jewish National Fund that we want to empower and to strengthen you as an educator. So please, yes, Tanya.
Hi, so I have two things. One is I want to say, Alon, when we came bus one in 2019, your talk made me cry, and hearing it again slightly differently today also brought a tear. It's just a wonderful thing. And I'm working on Jewish storytelling, and I'm remembering how you said we have to be careful to talk not about the bravery and heroics and death, but really talk about people and values. So that's really valuable, and I appreciate that. And my question for Merav is, I see we have to have a subscription to at least the one site. Is that a pay subscription, or you're just looking for having our contact information?
No, all the material that we offer is completely free, really just for us to keep track, to be able to contact you, to send you more information. And so,
Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya. And so nice to see you again and again and again. You're a return customer. We love you. Who else want to share with us or to give any feedback? Please, Keren. Please unmute yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you for organizing it. And Alon, yeah, it was really touching, and I learned a lot. I must tell that I've been in Givat HaTachmoshet so many times, but you need maturity to understand the battle and what happened, and the way you brought it with the story of yourself and the values. The values are the most touching. It brings me back why I'm a teacher, why I want so much to engage the Jewish diaspora to the values we share together. So thank you so much. I want to reflect that the end that you mentioned, that like your mother said, it's don't be stupid. This is a bit, leave us a bit in a vague understanding, because what was the stupidity? I mean, he had no choice. I mean, if we don't know really that he made a mistake, so I don't know. I don't want to take time. And another thing that I want to mention, just when I came to America, I heard about the way life were during the separation of Jerusalem. I mean, my parents and my grandparents were studied in Jerusalem University, and every summer they used to take us, but I never could understand how life were. And just when I went to a lecture here in America, that somebody came and exposed us to picture with this wall, and people were throwing from the other side of the wall, and this blew my mind. And I think it's important to understand that the first years weren't like today, and it's a great achievement. And yeah, I mean, it's so important to reflect on.
Karen, your comments are amazing, because indeed in 15 minutes I could not unveil the whole story. But when we stepped in 13 years ago, we decided to indeed tell the whole story. And this is why the story of the liberation of Jerusalem does not start anymore during the Six-Day War. It starts even before the 48 Independence War. And indeed today, when you come over to Ammunition Hill, you can see the story of the wall, of the separated, divided city. For 19 years, it was divided 8.5 kilometers by two generals to both sides. How did it feel like to live as a young daughter of a Jewish family when you could not even step into your front porch because snipers from the Jordanian side can shoot you? We show everything at Ammunition Hill. When I will come over and I have an option to speak to your high school or elementary school kids, I'm bringing the whole display and I'm showing them what we are talking about. And then I elaborate about the stupidity, because it came from the naive guts of a Yiddish mame. She did not mean to say that he was stupid, but they must have been a little bit stupid and a little bit brave. It depends who do you ask to create history. And it was a mixture of their entity, of who they were. But it's a great question, and it must be answered, surely.
No, I think you need to continue the conversation and take the opportunity, alone base in Givat HaTachmoshet, Ammunition Hill. I said to everyone, and the main idea is to continue to be in touch with Alon, with Ammunition Hill, from the state, and of course, when you come to Jerusalem, and be close, and of course, anytime. Who wants to be another one or two before we end? And we have an update from Daniel about the seminar. So who else?
Do you have any materials on the website or somewhere in the JNF treasure trove that draws any parallels between the path or maneuvers of the Israeli soldiers of 1967 and the Jewish rebels of 66 or the Jewish rebels of 614?
Yes, I think you can find by the website that I showed. So I think you can find the materials that you are looking. And actually, we have here a great opportunity with our great partners, Olam Shalem, that they have also a lot of materials. And what I learned as an educator, always take the time, take an hour and search and learn what Olam Shalem has, what we have, and together you can see that you have a lot of materials. Then you need you need to choose what is the best for you. But yes, you
I
have.
think because of the redirection to focus on values rather than historical facts, it becomes more difficult to find material that is tied back to specific historical events, especially if you are teaching older grades. So before I spend an hour and not find anything about either 66 or 614, I wanted to double check.
Yes, I think from my best knowledge you have, but always you need to see that it find you know exactly what you are looking for. Okay, so you need to follow the materials. If it's a video, if it's a guide, sometimes it's ready for you to give the class. But of course,
Thank
you
you.
need. Thank you. Anyone else? The last one before I move to Daniel.
Okay, Zohar, I'm gonna, maybe it will be like closing. Of course, thank you to Alon and Mirav for wonderful presentation. But thank you, Zohar, especially because you never rest. Always looking for topics, always looking for interesting people to bring us to meet with, and a very valuable material that we are bringing to our classes, and really all our mission and vision is coming, in action, but thanks to you. No words, always. So, Yeshar Koach.
Thank you so much, Ayala. I'm so happy to listen to your kindly words. And, all of us as a team, we are working at JNF and Keren Kayemet together as a team to bring the materials for you and to empower and to strengthen you to be able to do more and more for our next generation. And I'm so happy that we have the opportunity. So it's remind me to say that the next meetup, the monthly meetup, will be at May 25th, same time, 7 Eastern time and Pacific time, 4 o'clock. And it will be around the Mishpuche, about the family month, Mother Day and Father's Day. And, all together, we have another opportunity and challenge for you to bring it to your amazing students and amazing community. So thank you, Ayala, and everyone. And I want
and thank you for Rick Abrams that bring all these great programs to our New Jersey schools. Rick, we don't forget you. Doing great.
I agree. Thank you, Rick. And thank you, Dana is here, our colleagues. And thank you, Eliana, and all our colleagues at the Education Department at Jewish National Fund and the friends from Jerusalem. Thank you so much to Olam Shalem, our great partners that joined to this meetup as well, bring all the materials and available for you all over the year, and doing such amazing job to the Jewish world to open another opportunities to learn and to teach about Jerusalem. Thank you so much to Alon Wald, the one and the only one at Ammunition Hill, and you're more than welcome to learn more. As I mentioned, all the materials are ready for you to use, like, of course, the recording of all the session, and especially the virtual tour. The 9 minutes virtual tour is ready for you as a YouTube video, very easy for you to take it and to give a class. And of course, another opportunity that we spoke. So let me ask Daniel to end, to update about the seminar that few of you are our alumni, and we are very, very proud of you that you joined, like Edith and Tanya and Miri and others, and we want to see every one of you going to the next missions. Daniel, please.
Amazing. So I am just going to be very conscious, especially for our friends in Israel, but for you as well at 8 o'clock. I know spending the time with us is time is very precious. So a big, big thank you to you all for joining us, and again to our amazing partners in Israel who stayed up till 2 o'clock in the morning just to start the presentation with us. So now it's already 3. So a big, big thank you. Really quick, we have our educators mission. I know it is kind of crazy to think about going outside of the house for more than just like a breath of fresh air or getting some groceries. But if everything continues to go according to plan, we'll be able to travel this summer, July 20th to 26th. I'm going to drop the link here in the chat. We'd love for you to apply. We have some amazing, amazing alumni on the call who is, it's so nice for me to see, and I miss a lot, but it's really a tremendous, tremendous trip. We travel all around the country. We kind of see everyone, learn a bunch of different pieces. Each night we receive different educational materials for you to take back to your classes. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to reach out to me or Zohar, and we look forward to seeing you all in Israel.
Thank you so much. We love you. We love Jerusalem.
Zohar, are we allowed to go to sleep?
I think thank you so much. Good night.
Laila Tov, Merav. Laila Tov, everybody.
Laila Tov, Stacy.
Thank you.